Welcome back. It's We Were Gamers episode 9, and wow, it's been a busy week and holiday weekend, JJ. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we were recording this just after July 4th.
How was your 4th of July?
It was great. You know, we had the girlfriend and I had a really relaxed time. We didn't do a whole lot. You know, just did some grilling, hung out around the house. You know, did some little bit of house stuff. And saw some stuff blow up in the sky, the true American tradition.
Yeah, so you wished America a pretty good birthday, huh?
Yeah, watch stuff blow up. That's what you want.
I agree. Well, 4th of July was not just America's birthday. You know what it was? It was the end of the Steam sale, JJ.
Yes. Yeah, the Steam sale all of a sudden just ended. I guess they advertised when it was ending. I just didn't realize it was coming up.
I really wish they hadn't ended it on a holiday, because this makes the second Steam sale in a row where I have all the cards, or missing one, but I have enough cards to trade for the missing one, and then I forget to craft the badge.
Yeah, that sucks. Well, I guess now you can turn them into gems.
Yeah, no, because they expired, and because expired things disappear, you can't do anything with them, right?
The ones that are still in your inventory, you can turn into gems.
Oh, okay.
You can't craft them into the badge anymore.
Well,
and you can't sell them, which is what you really should have been doing.
Yes, exactly. That's the thing that I was going to say bummed me out the most about all this, is that really what are the badges worth except nothing?
Nothing.
But the cards are worth like 20 cents a piece because people like badges. And it really bums me out that because I was a cool, good adult human being and out at friends' parties and visiting my mother and doing all sorts of stuff like that, that I totally and utterly forgot, because if I don't put it in my calendar, I can't remember anything.
Yeah, that sucks. Especially because it is literally free money. You do pretty much nothing, and then you sell the cards for... It's not 20 cents, at least not for these ones that are super popular. It was more like, 8 to 10 cents. But per card, you get 3 cards a day. That's 30 cents almost for nothing per day through the course of the Steam sale, plus whatever other cards you happen to have. I guess maybe we should back up and explain to people what we're talking about a little bit.
Sure, yeah. Go for it.
So Steam, right, the digital video game platform that...
We've discussed it before.
Right, that Andrew and I use a lot of on the PC, has all these digital games, and the games themselves implement like trading cards almost. I mean, I guess it is trading cards, right?
It's exactly trading cards. You get them based on your time played in the game and also spending real money to obtain card packs.
Right. I don't know a single person ever who has bought card packs, but I suppose you could. I don't know why anyone would do that.
I mean, you can check the Steam statistics and see that people are buying them all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure. Someone is buying them somewhere. It's just not me.
No, people like you and I try to generally take advantage of these sorts of events and make money. In fact,
Right.
2 or 3 ago when they were doing the gems, I made about $80 on just trading items for gems and money, and came away with $80 worth of games on that sale.
Yeah, exactly. Or, free in that you didn't have to spend any extra money.
Right. But this is when our child was sleeping 20 hours a day, and so was Katie. And so I got to, if I was awake, pretty much do whatever I wanted. I can work at working the system. Now I just forget to craft badges.
Yeah. I discovered this program for this Steam sale, although apparently this program has been around for quite a while. Created by a man whose name I have now forgotten. I feel pretty bad about it because I wanted to shout him out. But the program is called Idle Master, IDLE Master. It's an open source program, so I can be relatively sure that they're not like stealing my info or anything, because you can just read the source code, of which I did a little bit. And what this program does is it runs on your computer while you're online but not doing anything, and the program tells Steam that you're playing one or a number of games in order to get Steam's system to think you're earning time towards the card drops.
I can't imagine that's not against their terms of service.
It's apparently not, because it's all done through the Steam API.
Interesting.
Which is available to developers, and this guy is a developer of, I don't know what, something. And the API is legal, and it works for every single game on Steam.
Okay, so he's done it through their own API, which is allowed to access, so, okay.
And so basically what the program does is it runs one game at a time, and basically tells Steam, without you having that game installed or anything, it just says, hey, Steam, this account is playing this game. And the way the card drops work from each game has its own set of cards. There's usually between 8 to 10 or something cards per game if you want the whole set. You need the whole set to craft the badges that we were talking about earlier. And usually over the course of playing, you can earn, between 4 to 6 card drops per game. If you're like Andrew and I, and you don't have any reason to want to collect any of those cards, what you should do is take them and sell them on the Steam marketplace. Yeah, and so then it becomes literally, for doing the thing you were already going to do, which is play that game, you can earn, it's not a lot of money, right? I mean, you're talking maybe 50 cents, 60 cents.
No, but we were talking before about how we've got enough of a backlog of games. Well, some of us have enough of a backlog of games. I can wait for things to get down to $5. If I get something down to $5, I take $1 off of it.
Right.
I just got another 20% discount for doing nothing.
Exactly. And so I did some of that. Once I realized, how much. So then basically you can run this Idlemaster program while you're not at home, and it plays the games for you. So someone who was watching my Steam account this weekend may have noticed I was playing a lot of games this weekend. I was on constantly, playing all kinds of different stuff, and sometimes multiple games at a time, and switching between them really quickly, which seems really weird. And I actually had someone ask me, hey, did someone steal your account or something? Something weird going on. Nope, no, it was this weird program. And I earned, consequently, a ton of card drops, a bunch this weekend, 15, 20 or something. And I sold a bunch of them, plus a bunch of the other ones I had been too lazy to sell for a while. And I made probably $5 or $6 this weekend, enough to buy at least one game for free.
Yeah.
Or, it feels like free anyway. I'd already paid for the other games that I was using to get the cards from.
I mean, I guess you paid for the power of running your computer.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, sure. But if you consider I was probably going to be running the computer anyway to watch Netflix or, whatever else we were going to do this weekend, I don't think that cost is that outrageous.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
It's more like extracting the value that I would have gotten from playing these games later, but doing it now. So
did you come away from the sale intact?
I did buy a couple games, like I said, with that free $5. You can't have that burning a hole in your pocket,
Right.
So I came away with 2 games. The game, I'm probably going to slaughter this pronunciation. I think it's Ys. Ys 1 and 2 Chronicles Plus, which is a dumb name, but basically it's a remastered version of these old games that were on, I think, the SNES.
Oh, is this the YS game?
Yes.
I think people just call it YS, don't they?
No, it's pronounced Ys.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. That got me too. I actually looked this up on Wikipedia because I wasn't sure.
You looked something up?
I know. I feel bad about it. I had to know, Andrew. Is it YS? Is it Y apostrophe S, like wise? Or ease? But no, Ys.
I want it to be wise. Just wise.
I guess in Japanese it would be Isu, which makes a little more sense or sounds a little less ridiculous. But the Su stuff is weird in translate. Anyway, so it's Ys.
All right, let's move on.
Anyway, no one cares. So this, the people on the internet who were recommending this game to me said it's an RPG where kind of a generic story. It's from the Super Nintendo days, was remastered and now fits in your widescreen monitor and has some nice, slightly reworked artwork and stuff, but still looks like pixel art from those days. But the thing that got me interested in it was the battle system. I know we've talked a lot about RPG battle systems on this before, right? This game is a lot more action oriented, so there isn't really any menu commands. In fact, there's no buttons you can press to attack. This game you attack enemies by walking into them, and the direction that you walk into them determines whether they can hit you or not.
Can you just confirm to me that moonwalking into them does the most damage?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and say that that's true. Yep, confirmed.
Awesome.
You cannot walk backwards, as far as I know. Your character will just turn around to face the other way. But, so, the enemies will move sort of in the 4 cardinal directions, while your character has 8-way movement, right? So you have, you have the diagonals available to you as the character that the enemies don't.
Man, how unfair do you think those enemies thinks it is when they see you move across a diagonal like that?
Well, I bet they're probably bummed out because anytime you hit them, so the game calls it the bump system, and basically you bump into enemies. And if you bump into an enemy on the same plane as them, together in a line, the enemy has a chance to hit you while you're hitting him. So when you touch them, right, coming from whatever direction, your guy automatically swings the sword and hits them for whatever damage the sword happens to do. And then if you come at them slightly offset or whatever, right, you can hit them and they can't hit you. If you guys, are facing each other and run into each other like that, it's, you sort of both hit each other. You recover your health by not moving. So if you stand still, your character will slowly regenerate his health, unless you're down in a deep dungeon or whatever. And then, but the movement is really fast. So your character can run around this, big field or whatever area that you're in, and these enemies are just walking around, doing their own thing, and you have to find a way to run up next to them or behind them or to the side of them to take them out. And then at some point you level up and your character becomes stronger, does more damage per hit, more experience, more hit points, that kind of stuff. It's a really, really cool system once you figure it out. And it sounds like it would get boring really quick, especially since there's not a lot really of nuance. But so far, all the boss battles have been really, they found good ways to do stuff with them.
Okay, so a boss battle, you'd have a instanced area maybe or something like that. You're going to head into a boss battle, or is it just out in the plains in the open?
So far, at least, they've all been, either the story is relatively, sword and sorcery kind of based. You're a dude who washes up on a shore and you get some items and armors and you have to go fight people down in dungeons. So the bosses are confined to rooms, so far anyway. So they can sort of know the layout of the land where you'll be able to stand. And then the bosses, at least the ones I've come against so far, all have tricks. Or not necessarily tricks, but patterns. Sort of like in a Mega Man game where the boss is going to do this attack, and then he's going to do something else, then he's going to do the next attack, and then he's going to go back to the first one, and you can kind of learn the pattern, and then you'll just know when the openings are based on how the pattern looks.
This sounds like a top-down RPG version of a Zelda game in a way.
Yes, the perspective is a lot like a Zelda game. You're looking down at the field. The enemies are kind of roaming around everywhere. There's a pretty decent amount in common with Zelda, except this has a lot more numbers and stuff.
So how many hours did you put into it so far?
Not so many, maybe 3 or 4 or something. I don't know. My Steam stats are unreliable now because I've been running that program, so I can't check it to see exactly how many because it won't show accurate numbers.
Well, are you going to put in some more time?
Yeah, I think it's really good. I'm told that the game is not long, so that the game, you should be relatively quick to finish. If I knew what I was doing while I was playing the entire time, people say you could get through the game in 4 or 5 hours.
Okay.
So it's pretty short.
And considering how many of those things I see on Steam, I think YS or East or whatever you want to call it has 5 or 6 games on there.
Yeah, so this is the one I bought for it was $4.50 I think during the sale. It's slightly more now, but it's a bundle of the first game and the second game in the series. And from what I understand, the next game in the series is called Ys Oath in Felhana or something. Anyway, that's a remake of the third game. And then there's a game that came out that's a prequel to the first game, but using the new engine from the remake. And there's a whole bunch of them out there. There's a few games that aren't... because these Ys games have been coming out for a long time, right? Like I said, this is a Super Nintendo game remade. I think they're up to like Ys 7 or Ys 8 or something at this point.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so but not all of them have come to the PC yet. But there's remakes of I think like 1, 2, 3, 6, and 7 are out there.
Well, based on that, I should probably try Ys 1 and 2, which are sitting in my Steam library.
Yeah, it's a great game. And it doesn't take a lot of once you're leveled up enough, you can sort of just run around and kill everything as long as you're not walking straight into the enemy or letting it walk into you. It's pretty good. If you're worried about stuff, follow a FAQ or something and you'll be able to figure it out. Not too much trouble.
Do you still use GameFAQs?
It's still a website that exists.
Is that still the thing? I don't know. I mean, I don't play enough games that need facts anymore that I haven't found out if there was a new thing or if Prima or Brady have become some sort of new version of themselves that people use again. Or
I mean, there probably are those things. I think people just use YouTube these days, right?
Just watch a Let's Play.
Yeah, that just seems, I don't know. I prefer to read it, and GameFAQs is definitely a place you could go to read, sort of what you need to do in these kind of games. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and it is a little more. This one at least is a little more obscure in like what you need to do to get everything done. I have consulted FAQs during my playthrough, so
nice. Well, it's been a pretty freaking busy week, dude. There's still so much more to talk about. We really didn't talk too much last week after an unfortunate incident, which we'll get to later.
Oh, we're gonna tease them with it.
Yeah, we'll get back to it. I don't want to lead in with negative this early in a podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but after said incident, mid last week, I forgot to tell you, I'm a Rams season ticket holder, dude. Yeah.
You purchased season ticket holders to the new scam of the NFL, the Los Angeles Rams of Anaheim, or whatever they're... Los Angeles Rams of Inglewood, I'm sorry.
The Inglewood Rams of Los Angeles who practice in Commerce or whatever.
Is that the Inglewood Rams of Los Angeles? Is that the real team name? I hope that it is.
Oh, man, I kind of wish that it were so that people would stop making fun of the Angels.
Yeah. The Angels still deserve to be made fun of for that name. It's dumb.
I agree. Even as a fan.
So you were offered the opportunity to pay thousands of dollars for tickets to a football stadium that isn't built.
Oh, no. So I have tickets to the Coliseum, which is like paying for tickets to a possible death trap.
Oh, so you have tickets to a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But at least when I go to the Coliseum, I don't have to be watching USC. I can watch something else.
Okay, yeah, that's,
So there's an upside.
Yeah. Man, that'll be interesting. So have they said if the conferences are being moved around?
I think they're staying the same. But there is good news to be had, which is the Patriots are coming out here. So I'll recoup my season ticket cost right there.
Do you have good seats?
Oh, no. We were probably the last group to get seats. So
okay,
we'll see. I think the new stadium after this one actually seats more people than the Coliseum because it's a modern stadium that they're building.
Or it seats less because the Coliseum is a bigger stadium built for a time.
Yeah, but they don't use all the seats in the Coliseum.
Also true.
Because it's impossible to use all those seats.
Right,
so
yeah.
My guess is, given that they could tier it to 3 stories and actually wrap around both end zones, which they can't do, you would probably gain a few seats.
So that's not bad.
No, so hopefully our seats get better, and I'm guessing the first year that they're here in LA and the first year in the new stadium at least will be popular enough for us to not have to worry about having paid anything technically.
Sure, so you're just going to scalp out your tickets to, whatever, NFL or StubHub or whoever.
Oh, there's also friends that I'm sure that I know people that will want to go to the Bills game and the Panthers games.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And then beyond that, I'll rip off somebody I don't know for the Patriots.
Yeah. And plus, maybe football games are fun. It's not bad to go see a football game. Not the greatest location, but...
Sure, yeah. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing the Rams play anyone. And I guess, our Katie's and my teams, and maybe even the Chargers will be up here at some point. So
Yeah, I sort of feel like the Chargers aren't going anywhere.
yeah. Oh man. So what's the deal? Are they going to play in the stadium they said they weren't going to play in anymore?
I don't know what the deal is, to be honest with you. I think there is the end of this year, the stadium is going to be on the ballot down here.
Again?
No, it wasn't the first time, I think. Or it was, and everyone voted it down. I don't know how it's going to go. Anyway, I strongly hope the stadium fails. I don't want them to build another stadium downtown where Petco Park already is big and causes horrible traffic. I don't want them to destroy part of the waterfront park area to build a stadium, which is where they want it.
They want like a Giants version of a football stadium.
Yeah, they want a downtown near the ocean, Bay Area. They would like to be right next to the convention center or the convention center expansion that they also are proposing. And I just think it's not a good idea, and it's a waste of taxpayer money. So I hope they don't do it, and I hope that they end up either having to leave. I honestly would be fine if they left, but if they do leave, I don't think glomming on to whatever unholy thing the Rams build is a good idea either. So I don't know. It's weird. Football's weird, man.
It's a strange time for sure, because people are pushing back on billionaire owners and saying, well, you make tons of money anyway, and you come up with all these deals to not pay for parking lots and not pay for sales taxes and not pay for all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, they don't pay the property, the land that the stadium gets built on gets leased to them for $1 a year, a bunch of dumb stuff to avoid all kinds of taxes. Because land in downtown San Diego is expensive. It's a urban, big city area. That's not cheap land. I can't imagine how much that land must cost in LA. Even more, undoubtedly.
Yeah, LA's really pushing hard, I think, to make this work. Their public transportation investment is going through the roof, and it has to, because there's not even going to be a third enough parking for the stadium, and they want to build an entire second LA Live entertainment area around this stadium.
Yeah, and the LA Live area that's already there around the Staples Center and Nokia Theater there is already a parking nightmare. So I have no idea what they're going to do. That freeway that's right there is too small. It needs to be 2 lanes wider on each side, and that's never going to happen. So there's a whole mess up there. So who knows?
Yep, which is why I'm glad that I'm not super invested in the team and can write off at least the first couple seasons if I can make my money back.
Totally. I'm sure you'll be able to do it. New team and stuff. People will want to get the new feel,
Yeah.
Should be good.
And Jared Goff and what's his name at running back?
Good old, what's his name?
I should
my
remember
favorite
this.
running back.
I should remember this. He's on one of my teams. Gurley, Todd Gurley.
Oh yeah, okay.
Those guys will be a draw for a lot of the people that are into college football.
The new quarterbacks are always a draw for the first year, right? If people assuming they're going to do good, and then usually they don't. Yeah, but you never know. This guy could be the one, right? It only takes one good pickup for one of these guys to be, great.
All right, well, Steam sale, big. 4th of July, big. Me blowing a couple thousand on Rams tickets, minor.
Minor? I don't know. That's pretty big.
I guess, but a lot of people probably didn't care about that 10-minute delay we just took to talk about the NFL. Although,
I suspect a lot of people actually like that more than the video game talking that we do on this podcast.
I wonder. I bet let's see if I tag the NFL in this podcast post, if we get a lot more listenership.
Yeah. That's a good idea. I would love to know the stats, and we don't talk. We're not going to fact check anything here live on the air. But anecdotally, I have a lot of evidence that a lot of people liked that bonus Game of Thrones episode that we did.
Anecdotally?
Yeah, I have a lot of anecdotal evidence from people who talked to me about it.
Oh, really? It's funny because the very few people that I bother about asking if they listened to anything, none of them can listen to it because they're all behind.
Oh. Yeah, so like my sister listened to the Game of Thrones episode. My dad, who doesn't listen ever, listened to the Game of Thrones episode, and I was texting with both of them actually. My sister telling me why my opinions were wrong, and my dad just saying, "Oh, I don't know. I thought it was great." So it's good. I think a lot of people liked it. So.
I feel like I'm a little bit left out. When somebody tells you you're wrong, I want to be part of that.
My sister didn't agree with my opinions about Cersei's character, we'll say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if people want to hear all that stuff, go listen to that bonus episode for Game of Thrones we posted. It's good, I think, and it's full of spoilers, so we'll keep those out of this, and y'all can listen to that.
Well, hopefully the anecdotal evidence means that we should talk about off-topic stuff like that more often, because I really had a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah.
Although I was really excited, and I'm having a great time doing this one, too. I don't know why. I was just, super jazzed to get on tonight. I think it's because, JJ, the biggest thing of the weekend is SGDQ is going on right now.
Yes, it is.
I have a stream going in the background.
Oh, man. I had to close it for this recording, and I'm sad that I'm missing it.
Okay, I'll close it. We can be...
Oh, I mean, you could, it's fine. It's fine. I'm not going to take it away from you, man.
What is SGDQ? I just glossed over it. It's called Summer Games Done Quick.
That's right. I guess this was being promoted on the Colbert Show, even, or sorry, the Late Night with Colbert. Yeah, they had a speedrunner who played Super Mario Brothers 3, along with they did a race between a bunch of different things. Like someone was running a marathon or running running in some distance in track, and someone was eating a bunch of food, and this guy was playing Super Mario Brothers 3 to see which of these things would happen finished first or whatever.
Let me be clear here. Colbert was eating a Hot Pocket and racing a guy running Super Mario 3, and he almost lost.
And that's just one Hot Pocket.
Yes. Well, okay, so people that don't know, I think JJ have been watching this for years now. They do 2 of these a year. They're called Games Done Quick, and it's a marathon, much like a telethon, if you remember those from back in the day, where a bunch of people get together and they do performances and do live readings and talk. Comedians come on and do jokes. Instead of all of that, a bunch of gamers got together and said, "We really like speedrunning games, aka." Trying to break them or beat them in record times. Some people have gotten, the original Mario down to, a minute and a half or something like that because they can glitch through the entire game, go to the last boss, kill him, and be done with it. So they put on this telethon or marathon of game players 24/7 for...
a week.
6 days. So it's 24/6.
Okay,
starting last week and going through the end of this week. So if you have time,
it started on Sunday this week and it goes through Thursday, so people will have a chance to hear it. Check out the end anyway.
Yeah, it's twitch.com/gamesdonequick.
Nope, it's twitch.tv/gamesdonequick.
I forget that all the time.
Yep. Well, now you know. Yeah, twitch.tv/gamesdonequick. They raise money during this for charities, and the summer charity is I'm gonna slaughter this. It's Doctors Without Borders.
Médecins Sans Frontières.
Thank you, person who knows French. Yes, which is a great charity, of course. They're a great organization. They do all kinds of medical work and stuff in other countries. Great group. And I believe so this is the summer one. They also have a winter one. And yes. The winter one, I believe, is for the Prevent Cancer Foundation.
Correct.
Yeah. So 2 pretty good charities. I don't think anyone really has anything bad to say about those charities. Good goals. And they raise $1 million over the course of this week. Just from donations.
Yeah, they do. It's what's funny to me is that if everybody that watched all the time, because they have a constant stream of at least 100,000 viewers, if everyone that watched every hour donated $1, I can't imagine the amount of money they'd raise.
Oh, it would be an insane amount of money. Yeah.
But if you get a chance, people, go check it out. They not only if you donate do you give money to charity, you also get something cool, you get entered in a raffle. Like they do hourly
Yep.
raffles too. So
For all kinds of weird little, promotional items or cool items for the games related to the games or special custom made art and stuff.
yeah, and they do like betting almost. So if you want a certain so they play Metroid every time, and if you want them to kill these characters, you donate towards that. If you want them to save these characters, you can donate towards that, and it kind of like these little miniature competitions within the thing.
It's like a bidding war essentially.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
whichever side raises more money will be the one that the player will go with.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty cool that they're using streaming to kind of create this culture of giving, which
it's really
doesn't
nice,
exist. Because streaming is kind of a culture of taking, if you think about it.
Yeah, a lot of the times you're donating to people donate to the streamer, or the ads you watch on the stream, or giving money to the streamer or the platform. There's a lot of the streamers making and earning money trying to do that stuff, and this is a really great way for people to give back just by watching people play old games, and they play some cool games.
They play games that you've never heard of. I mean,
and some of those are hilarious.
Oh yeah, I have tons of games I've never heard of, and funny when I talk to other friends that watch these marathons, and I'm like, "Do you know what this is?" And some of them will be like, "Yeah, I played 60 hours of that game," or also never heard of it, or it's just fun. And you watch games that you've played tons of times, like Symphony of the Night for JJ.
Yep.
Get beaten in an hour or whatever, and you just
they actually had a blindfolded Symphony of the Night playthrough this year.
So a guy played Symphony of the Night based on memory and noise cues.
That's right. He had a blindfold on and his controller, right? And it was all sound and memory based, including going through the menus and selecting the right items. He also did a bunch of glitches that were like, you have to jump perfectly on this frame at this exact time and use a whole bunch of stuff. I actually watched it. It happened earlier today while we were recording this. The run was. I watched the archive. Maybe we'll link it to the people on the Facebook or something.
Sure.
It's a great run. The guy, it goes completely off the rails at some point. The guy gets lost. The menus aren't working. A button on his controller malfunctions for a whole bunch. It's a whole crazy thing. He has to, get input from people to try and figure out where he is and what's going on. And it's a really, really great run. Just like it shows you that it's not, he really is doing it from memory, including these weird little glitches and corruptions and stuff to take advantage of stuff that the game isn't supposed to normally allow. But, no big deal. He's done this, 10,000 times before, so he can still do all this stuff without even seeing the game.
Yeah, I think that it's cool. It's cool, like I said, that they create this culture of giving. And it's also cool because it drags people in that have no interest in speed runs or gaming or whatever. Like, Katie got on during AGDQ, the winter one, and watched for like 3 hours straight because they were running like DuckTales and a whole bunch of other old Disney games.
Yeah. They had I saw they had like who's the Darkwing Duck and some of those old like Super NES games of the Flintstones and some of that stuff. I know there's an Aladdin game that is played later in the run, and the bid incentive for that one, they have like little bonus incentives you can donate towards, and I think the bonus incentive is to make the runners sing the Whole New World song before the run starts.
Oh man! On the 4th of July, they had an incentive to make runners sing the Star Spangled Banner before each one.
Oh, that's pretty good.
But it's pretty great. It fosters, I think, a lot of fun stuff. I worry a little bit because they do it twice a year, and there aren't an infinite amount of games that eventually they're going to have to do something like bring in gaming celebrities like Iga or somebody to keep revenue up.
Yeah, I don't think they're worried as much about growing as a lot of people would be, right?
I don't think they're worried about growing, but at the same time, I think the last two that they've done did not break the previous records like everyone before that had.
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah, a lot of it too is the function of what games are selected, are the various speedrunners that they're choosing to play the games popular outside of the game or not. And then just like when crazy stuff happens, people get excited and give a lot more money, right? Like when I'm sure that blindfolded run was super hype for the people that were watching it. And that's like really cool to watch. People have, sort of when things go off the rails, right? And it's just a mix of different games. Every year is different. They try to mix the games up. There's a few games that return almost every year or every year because a lot of people like them. But there's a lot of different stuff every year,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are a lot of games, and there are a lot of games that you'll see once every 3 or 4 years, or you'll see it once somebody shatters a new speedrunning record or something like that.
And it is interesting since and you and I have been watching it for several years. You'll see like they'll come on and the guy will say, "Oh, this." They'll be talking about the game while they're playing, or the people on the couch are talking while the person is playing, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, this year's record," or there's a lot of new stuff that we're going to do in this game this year compared to the last time it was on in 2013 or 2014 or whenever. And the best time is now, 15 minutes shorter than it used to be.
Well, I heard during, I think it was the Castlevania Dawn of Sorrows run today, they were like, yeah, 2 years ago when I did this run, I actually went and did this boss, but we now found that if you do this, you actually save 15 seconds.
Yeah.
And that's the real insight there. It's not like, no, I'm not saving 15 minutes. I changed the run because we saved 15 seconds.
Yeah. Right? It's like this, at some point the games get so well understood that it's down to like, okay, can I cut a couple seconds here or there if I move slightly differently?
I wonder, because every time I've looked at the camera, it's been a little bit less busy in the room behind them. I wonder if the 4th of July weekend is going to have helped them or hurt them. Because it is also a convention, too. I don't know if people know this, but probably not. In other rooms in the hotel, they are also speedrunning games for practice and for fun.
Sure. And there's a guy, I guess, who comes to these every year that also brings a bunch of pinball tables. And they have a bunch of like free play pinball stuff there. And just a bunch of consoles and stuff set up for people that want to just play stuff. So it's like it is like a big convention. That's a good way to describe it. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about the holiday weekend?
I imagine it's probably not helping them a ton. I'm sure it was a matter of, when they could schedule and the hotel rooms and stuff that were available. And when various people could come out to the event and stuff too. But I would imagine that, a lot of people do stuff on the 4th of July and that weekend. I mean, for instance, I wasn't able to watch the entire time. I'm sure you weren't either.
Yeah, definitely. I watched most of the things I wanted to do. I think there's 1 or 2 games in the archive that I want to watch, but
they seem to be at least posting them to YouTube pretty quickly. So that's good.
I would normally though just have it on, and Katie and I would kind of just have it on in the background and check in on it every once in a while, and if it looked interesting, sit down. And we haven't been able to do that. So
yeah, that's the right way, I think, to watch it, because you don't want to watch every minute of the games all the time.
I definitely watched every minute of that Link to the Past or Link Between Worlds run that they did.
Oh, I didn't see it. How was it?
Link Between Worlds was really fun and made me want to, actually open the Link Between Worlds box that I have.
Oh, you haven't played that game? It's so good.
Well, I kind of want to play Link to the Past first because I don't remember it very well.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, okay. I mean, Link to the Past is a really good game too.
Well, it's technically a sequel, I guess.
No, it's a sequel. The game came out as A Link to the Past 2 in Japan.
Okay, so I should play a game before I play the second one, right?
I think, yeah. It definitely, the better you remember the first one, the more impact some of the stuff in the second game will have for you. But it's not, it's different enough that not everything is going to transfer over.
Can I pick your brain about Twitter? Because now,
yeah,
I had a thought when I said that streaming culture on Twitch. Did I say Twitter?
You just said Twitter, but I assume you mean Twitch.
I meant Twitch.
Okay.
Brain fart.
Let's talk about streaming, Andrew.
I want to talk about streaming because I had a thought on Twitch when I said most people take, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're there to make money at it. The successful ones. A lot of people aren't. A lot of people just stream because they like it.
Or it's a fun way to interact with like their friends or stuff like that. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So this does not go for, I don't know, 95% of streamers on Twitch.
Right.
But that top 5% that make a living at it, and the top 5% that people watch because they're making a living at it.
Right. Yeah, the biggest ones monopolize most of the viewers. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, Crip probably has many percentage of the viewership of Twitch. This fleeting thought went through my head about if their culture is a culture of earning, let's say, rather than taking, but earning. Do you think it's maybe created this kind of weird broness that surrounds Twitch? Because when I watch Twitch and it's a streamer that I know or a streamer that is part of the popular culture and has a lot of people in his chat room or somebody that people talk about, on the most whole, they fall under the same guise of this broness. They have the same random Twitter jargon, homogenized, meaningless memes that they all say, like, we're all here now, boys. We're all in it now, boy. That sort of thing.
I see.
Is it doomed to just be that on Twitch unless SGDQ is on and we can ignore those people for a couple weeks and find ourselves?
I mean, Andrew, there's nothing forcing you to watch the top 3 or 5 channels on the service, right? You don't have to do that.
No. And I'm not saying anyone has to do that. And I'm not saying what they do is wrong or offensive.
Okay.
Although some of them are offensive.
Sure, I agree with that as well.
But it trickles down, right? Like you and I say things that they meme out ironically,
sure,
because we realize they're being ridiculous. But
I mean,
it trickles down through these infiltrated chats because someone goes from when Crip ends his stream to the next person down the list, and they all talk the same all the time. Like I said, it's like a homogenized jargon all the way through the
like a culture.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I hate to call it.
I guess I'm trying to understand, Andrew. You're not articulating very well what your opinion is about this. I want to understand what are you trying to get to?
Is streamer culture always going to be homogenized like this because it's all the same earnings type thing where they have to cater to one audience? Or can things like SGDQ and other channels break that mold?
So okay. I guess I think a lot of that culture develops because of okay. I have a couple of thoughts. A lot of it originally came from the same sort of culture that YouTube has. YouTube streamers and people who make a lot of content, a lot of their money on YouTube.
Yeah, it's also the PewDiePie, right?
Also act this way. Yes. Yeah, PewDiePie, and who is the number one YouTube channel on YouTube, right? Some random dude who plays video games. He's been on The Tonight Show and a whole bunch of different things. People know who that guy is. There's this sort of culture that's developed around those people because that's how they get views. And that's what Twitch is, right? It's a streaming service, and you make money by getting people to watch you. So they're adapting some of that culture from YouTube into their streams, but in a different way because it's live as opposed to pre-recorded, to sort of get those views in the same way. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of, I guess it just comes with the territory due to the revenue models, right? Like how the money is distributed because of the money all comes from ads and subscriptions, right?
Yeah.
And how do you generate those ads and subscriptions or donations or whatever? You do the things that the people like that let you, read their donation comments out on your stream, or make little sound effects every time they subscribe, or read out all their names and shout them out in their chat or whatever. It's like whatever little things you can do to make people feel important, help them reinforce that giving theme. But now you're giving to a person, or this particular streamer that you in theory are trying to support, by that money.
Yeah, I guess maybe I'm not talking about like people using similar ways to recognize their viewership or other stuff like that. I'm mainly talking about, and I think you touched on it, the viewership maybe dictating that people have to be this homogenized, jargony mess where they say, oh yeah, boys, it's time to, oh, we got 'em, boys, all that sort of stuff. That's the one that sticks in my head because I think that's the one that bothers me the most. It's like, because it's very clearly emulated from any other stream. And what I think you said, and maybe that makes sense, is that the viewership wants to then go to the next stream and watch the same thing with a different person. I actually read an article about a linguist that studied like the top 10 YouTubers that are kind of not, that are pop culture YouTubers, and they all speak the same way.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
They all have the same inflections, the same accent, so to speak. I hate calling it culture because it's, I guess in the most strict...
I don't know what else you could possibly call it.
Yeah, I guess in the most strict term it's culture, but culture to me...
It's like
means
internet
something
culture.
Deeper, right?
Well, your definition of culture is unfortunately not how it is used on the internet.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right to call it that.
You're thinking of like books and libraries and stuff. That's not what culture is on the internet.
I understand. I'm not saying that I'm correct in thinking that. I'm just saying I wish that when somebody said culture, they meant like, here's what Japanese culture is about, instead of, well, this is what YouTubers are screaming about today. Guess their
But
culture...
it's just a different society, right? It's a different group of people.
Is the internet a society?
I definitely... The people that go to YouTube and make their living off YouTube are a culture. People that stream on Twitch and do their living by streaming games on Twitch are a culture, right? It's just they're not bounded by geography. They're bounded by the websites they happen to frequent all the time.
I think you're right.
Andrew, what it sounds like to me, what you're trying to do is you want to kill the memes. Do you want an end to all the hilarious memes on the internet? No,
I don't want that, because half the time they make somebody smile. Generally not me, but they do make people smile, and that's okay.
But it's that boy.
This is my point. See what I mean? You're saying it ironically, and I get a laugh out of it because you're saying it ironically. But people say that.
It's such a bad
they mean
meme,
it
too. That one in particular is so bad.
It's terrible.
It's not funny.
No.
And yet I'm laughing. Here I am.
Yeah.
Anyway, I understand that you don't like... Also, Andrew, I think the thing that sort of turns me off about a lot of the internet culture stuff, I guess I'm calling it internet
rampant
culture,
misogyny.
Yeah, that part of it. That's the stuff that I don't like. It's like really bad.
It's disgusting.
And it's very... People act like... I hate to say the word entitled, but that's kind of how it comes off anyway. It's really bad. Yeah. That's the part of that I don't like so much.
Well, SGDQ,
the part where they're making memes and stuff is hilarious, but the part where they're being horrible is not.
Yeah. Fun memes, good. Misogynistic, jargon, bad. Please improve. Sincerely, We Were Gamers.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll sign that statement. But yeah, everyone should go check out SGDQ. It's a lot of fun, and they usually do a great job of making this stuff interesting. I know some big favorite games of people's past are definitely on the list still to come, so people should check that out.
All right, dude. Do you want to bring people down a little bit?
All right, let's bring them down.
I finished Diablo 3.
That's great, Andrew. We're not bringing anyone down. Everything's great. You finished. The game is done. We're good to go. Woo!
JJ, did you finish Diablo 3?
No, I didn't. I uninstalled it. Heck with that game. I'm done with it.
JJ and I, as you guys know, have been trying to complete Diablo 3 Season 6. The only reason I attribute it to this and this only that I did not also quit Season 6 was because I played Witch Doctor.
Yeah.
I think the pet build that I did allowed me to push through a section of the game that JJ's build did not, unless he were willing to commit many more hours of his life.
And I think, it's a matter of the set that I was using, the set that they gave me. My gear wasn't all the way upgraded in ways that I could have spent a lot more time to upgrade. Supposedly on the internet, people out there are saying other sets and other combinations of those sets are more powerful, but I didn't know how to play them, so then it would have been a learning process of learning how to play this other build. So, I really couldn't win without spending a bunch more time. I came to the realization, right, it's like, in order to finish this, I was going to need to spend a lot more time, right? Either learning how to play a new way or learning, or figuring out how to upgrade all these items to be strong enough to compete at the level Andrew was competing at without having to do this work. And I decided, you know what? No, this isn't, I don't care enough about finishing this season. It's not fun. I uninstalled the game and I feel much happier for it.
Yes, I think we both, especially when we were trying to grind you to victory there at the end, realized that we were not having fun anymore.
No.
I did not hit the instant uninstall you did after you quit the game that evening.
Yeah, it was bad. I felt like that you guys were trying to help me and that was great. But it wasn't going well. I was just, impinging on not only my own free time, but other people's free time, and I'm just sort of dragging everyone down with me. The solution was for me to stop playing, and then everyone was free to go about whatever they wanted to do.
Yeah, I feel like
I'm perfectly happy with the decision.
I feel like, unfortunately, you feel a little bit upset more. Not you, but a person would feel also more upset because you had to quit so close to the end, and that means you wasted a bunch of hours you could have been playing something else. Totally. I've had that feeling before, which is what we talked about when we were worrying about quitting the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel good that I was able to help you and John, our other friend, with getting through that all boss achievement. We got that done.
That was
great.
Fun.
Yeah,
that was the most fun I had that season.
I absolutely agreed. And then the stuff doing after that completely sucked, and I'm happy that we're done with it. And now I don't have to play Diablo 3 again for a really long time.
So here's my parting ideas, since I know you probably don't want to talk D3 for much longer. In case one person on the D3 team is listening, this was the fun part of the season. Gearing up, getting relatively decent gear, and then having fun challenges to do, like beating all the bosses in 20 minutes that were achievable, difficult, but not impossible. More of that, less of basically everything else, and you'd bring us back. But I think, JJ, it's safe to say, if nothing changes and the same grind, 100 hours, or try and do the impossible set dungeons return next season, I don't think either of us are coming back.
No, I don't know what they could do to Diablo short of releasing another expansion or significant gameplay changes that could bring me back. I don't know that there is anything. And I have high doubts, Andrew, extremely high doubts that they are making another expansion for Diablo 3.
Well, we'll find out at BlizzCon. If they don't release it this BlizzCon, it's not coming.
They would have to announce it. They haven't even announced it.
Sure, okay. I mean, you know what I mean. If we don't hear anything about D3 other than, here's Loot 3.0 at BlizzCon this year, it's dead.
Yeah.
So, which is fine. I mean, I think I got a decent amount of time out of that game. I'm good letting it go.
Yeah, I don't feel bad about the time I've spent playing, except for that little bit at the end here. But I think it was a great game, and the expansion is really good, and people should play it. It's a fun game, especially if they've never played it before. It's a really good game.
Absolutely. I don't mean to impart bad ideas. We're talking about a level of the game that JJ and I were pushing into that required
the
massive
end game
commitment.
The end game area. It was just, it's not for me.
I would argue beyond Endgame. This was like grind forever sort of stuff that we were at. I think we hit Endgame right about the time, we got some ancient legendaries. You had a full set. I had a full set. We were doing level 60 greater rifts just fine, and we were doing these boss challenges. That's Endgame. That's where the difficulty level was still fun for people like you and I that are not going to invest hundreds of hours leveling non-important gems so that you could add stats to your gear that you ground exactly perfect rolls on. We're not going that far. 99% of people are not going that far. They need to drag this game back into the real stratosphere if they want people to play seasons. That's my point. Like, we should be able to go in, play a season, be done with it in 3 weeks maximum, and feel like we accomplished everything that season had to offer on the scale of reasonability, right? Leave stuff in there for people that want to accomplish ridiculous stuff. I'm not saying dumb it all the way down for those people that put hundreds of hours into it constantly, but leave it accessible to people to get those stash tabs, to get the things out of the season.
Yeah, I just don't think they care.
They don't. And even if they left it accessible, like you said, without major gameplay changes, putting in challenges like that boss thing, adding a new expansion, it's just a loot grind again, and I don't see the point.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we've said our piece about Diablo.
Bye Diablo.
Yeah, it'll be good to work on some other stuff. Maybe you'll get a chance to play some Overwatch again.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited.
Yeah, it's been a while. I don't know when the last time you played was.
Oh, definitely 2 or 3 weeks. Did you ever watch Parks and Rec?
No, I was not a big fan of that show. I did not watch a lot of it.
I get the song Bye Bye Little Sebastian stuck in my head when I think about leaving Diablo behind. But it doesn't mean anything to you. Sorry.
Nope. I'm sure someone out there is laughing.
No one's laughing.
Oh,
not a good joke.
It's not funny?
No.
Dang.
I did have a funny realization about WoW and D3 at the end of it.
Okay.
I think that those two games have ruined me in video game playing. I need like a kind of a detox, which Overwatch will be a good detox from that.
Actually, funny, my girlfriend was playing WoW this weekend in order to get the when you hit level 20 in World of Warcraft, you could get a free hero portrait for Hearthstone.
Oh, the Liara portrait for Hearthstone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
I was wondering why she was on there. That makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah, so she was doing that.
It was worth it. I like the Liara portrait. It's a good break from Uther.
Yeah, it's good. I like her voice lines a lot more.
I don't know. I mean, it's equivalent to me, but it's a nice alternative that you can get for free.
I'm more interested in listening to her say, oh, hello, challenger, rather than Uther's dumb, well met.
What about put your faith in the light?
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Oh. Well, back to my point.
Her hammer burns with holy fire, Andrew. That's way cooler.
It sounds like she needs to get tested.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Sorry, what was your point?
My point was, like, while we were playing D3, and back when I was playing WoW, I watched and do watch a lot of Netflix or TV or whatever while playing those games. And for some reason, playing games almost has become synonymous with having my second screen open to some sort of stream and or Netflix. So I'm like having a little bit of withdrawal thinking about like, what game can I play where I can watch TV? And then I realized games are entertainment. You don't always have to watch TV and probably shouldn't.
Yes, I agree with this. That's there are definitely some games, and sometimes you're in that mood where I just want to watch a Netflix, but Netflix isn't very interactive, so maybe you'll put on something light that you don't need to pay a lot of attention to, or have your 3DS open or something. But
yeah, that was the realization I came to. It's like, hey, buddy, you don't have to play Diablo to accomplish that. There are plenty of RPGs on your 3DS that you could go play, like Bravely Default, and probably still have Netflix open.
Yep, totally.
Yeah. So
I'm glad you came to this enlightenment, Andrew.
I'm slowly coming around, dude. You know how much that Steam failure would have bothered me in the past?
The failure?
The failure of not getting that badge.
Is the answer to this a lot?
Yeah, because
Okay.
I mean, you've seen. We're gonna quit Diablo, and it still bothers me to this day about that beta achievement that I wasn't able to get.
I don't know what about you makes you have those sort of feelings about stuff that really doesn't matter. But it's who you are.
Well, you can always be sure that on this show, we're gonna cover the things that don't matter.
Hey, if nothing else is true, we'll talk about stuff that doesn't matter. That's for sure.
JJ, I'm gonna hit you with a surprise.
Okay.
We got an email.
Oh my! What? Someone sent an email to podcast@weweregamers.com?
It's weweregamers.com, not TV.
Yeah, don't send it there. I don't know who owns that. That's probably bad.
Ooh, it's porn probably.
Don't go there. That seems bad.
Yeah. Here's the email. Hey guys, longtime gamer, first time caller. Okay, it's an email person.
I like it. No, it's
Okay.
good. I'm gonna go with it.
Really enjoying the podcast so far. I've got a couple of things I wanted to ask based on the topics. A few. Oh gosh, I butchered it. He writes well. I butchered it. Okay. I've got a few things I wanted to ask based on a few of the topics you touched on. First, interested to know your thoughts on if/how the system or systems you grew up playing shaped the kind of games you gravitate to. For me, I had only an SNES for nearly a decade, and I've always been a bigger fan and better at RPGs and platformers. Second, and timing with SGDQ, JJ, you mentioned that you go back to Symphony of the Night at least once a year, and I was wondering, have you ever tried to speedrun it? What is your thoughts on speedrunning in general? I'm sure I'll have more questions as time goes on. Michael.
Okay. Well, that's actually an interesting question. I have never tried to speedrun Symphony of the Night, mostly because I know the amount of work that it takes to get through that stuff, and I don't want to do it.
No research?
No.
And we're lazy.
Yeah. But no, I have seen the guy who did the blindfolded run this year at SGDQ. I've watched some of his streams and stuff before. And Rom Scout is his name, twitch.tv/Rom Scout, if people want to check him out.
R-O-M, Rom.
Yeah, ROMSCOUT. And he's great, but he plays a lot of Castlevania games, and I've watched him mash on his controller while he's playing Symphony of the Night, and it's pretty crazy. And there's a lot of tricks and stuff that he does with really tiny, very, very precise inputs. Stuff that you have to jump and then hit this other button within 1/60th of a second at exactly the right height, and then he does this other move where he flies across the room. It's a big old thing. And just once you know enough about the game and how that stuff works, you realize this is going to be a lot of work to memorize all this stuff, and then the part where you have to repeat it 1,000 times to get good at it is the part where I dip out. I know that it exists. I can't do it, but I know it's there. The game is fun to play just normally, though, so I don't feel bad about that part.
Fun enough that you play it multiple times a year.
Yeah. It's not long. Once you know what you're doing in that game, it does not take a long time to beat. You could beat it in a few hours.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to the first question... did you have
okay.
more to say? Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no, I was just thinking about it. I was trying to think if there's any game out there that I would play enough to want to speedrun it, quote unquote. And I think because speedrunning is inherently not done in things like what was I gonna Civilization.
Sure.
I'm thinking of a game that I would want to spend that much time on and get to know all the mechanics of, and I think it'd be something complicated like Civilization, which you wouldn't speedrun that game. So I can see where you come from, where it's I could probably, if I didn't have so many games to play Ocarina of Time a couple times a year.
Sure.
But at a certain point, I'm going to look at it and think, I'm never going to be good enough to break the record at this because I don't have the time, which means I'd rather get through other games.
Yeah. I like watching speedruns, actually. I think they're really interesting.
They're impressive, don't get me wrong, and everyone that does them and accomplishes these things and finds these glitches, I have mad respect.
And not even all of them are glitched. there are some games where the people just play them and they're just really good at playing them.
Yeah, absolutely. And watching a speedrunner, a really good speedrunner at a really good game, makes me really want to play the game. Like Ori and the Blind Forest, I went out and bought that after the last summer or winter games done quick because I thought it was impressive. And I don't think they really glitched that game so much. They just play it really well and really fast, and it fascinated me, and the game looked awesome. So
Yeah.
I think we can both answer your second question, Michael, by saying no.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, we love speedrunning. I think both of us, it's fun, but not something we want to do ourselves just out of lack of time, mostly,
Sure.
and patience.
I like watching a lot of sports.
Yeah.
Or football.
Yeah, it just, there are other demands for our time, and that while we, love some of those games from our childhood, I don't know that speedrunning them, playing them for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours every day is what really we want to do.
I wonder if it would kill the fun.
I don't know, I guess it just depends how strongly you feel about the game you choose.
Yeah, I mean, clearly if you're a speedrunner, it doesn't kill the fun because you're trying to find something new or whatever. But
yeah,
or for somebody that's not a dedicated speedrunner, I wonder if it would kill the fun.
Yeah, chasing the dream of that world record.
All right, let's get into the deep question because I know we both have thoughts on the other one.
Sure. Yeah. So the first question:
If and how systems you grew up playing shape the kind of games you gravitate to.
I think the answer to that is just obviously yes, right? Like, of course, it made some kind of impression on the kind of games you gravitated to.
And the if part, yes, yeah,
Totally,
absolutely.
Personally, growing up, I had an NES, and then I skipped the Super NES, and I had a PlayStation 1, a PlayStation 2, and then a PlayStation 3 and an Xbox 360, sort of much more in the recent time frame.
I think that if I lined them all up, I went Atari 2600, access to an SNES, but didn't own it, PlayStation 1 and 64, and then every Nintendo system since then, Sony systems up through PS3.
I forgot about the Wii U. I have one of those.
Yeah. An Xbox at one point, and now I no longer have an Xbox or newer PlayStation. So, formative console though, right?
Sure. Like the one that was the most influential for me, probably the PlayStation 1.
Okay. So I think that the other night I said PlayStation 1 was the most influential for me, but having rethought about it since then, I think PlayStation 1 dragged me into being a gamer, and one of the most memorable games that I'll always go back to is Final Fantasy VIII, because that's what got me into wanting to play a console. But if I had to pick the games that I remember playing the most, they were all N64 games.
Okay, yeah. I know for me, like the PlayStation 1 was sort of when I started getting pretty big into gaming. The biggest, the one that stands out to be the most in my mind was Final Fantasy VII, which is obviously, was a big deal at the time. I'm sure a lot of people remember that game fondly. I have seen speedruns of that game. Again, not necessarily something I'd want to do.
Yeah, sometimes a speedrun has the opposite effect where you're like, wow, that's a really butchered version of that game.
It reminds you, you're like, oh yeah, that game was kind of bad.
Yeah, or at least something I don't want to replay right now. I think I can answer his question pretty easily. How did the systems grow up shaping the kind of games I gravitated to? I was lucky enough to have, I forgot that I had a Game Gear and a Game Boy and all the mobile systems. I was lucky enough growing up to have access to many video game systems at multiples at a time, and that led me to play many games and multiple types of games at a time. So that's what I still play.
Yeah, I definitely sort of had a narrower path of systems that was available to me. And, I wasn't getting tons of new games all the time, so I sort of ended up, with games that I would have to play for a long period of time, which sort of led me towards RPGs, I think. Hence, sort of why I think I still talk about those kind of games a lot. Although over the years, as my income has increased, I have been able to branch out and play a lot more different stuff. More action games, shorter games, more indie and kind of experimental stuff. So, I like that stuff too. But RPGs will always probably have a nostalgia place in my heart, just because.
Don't lie, man. Don't cheat on RPGs. Just let them know you love them.
Yeah, man, I love RPGs. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong.
All right. Well, if you have questions or want to ask us things that really make us bare our soul, email us at podcast@weweregamers.com or hit us up on Twitter @weweregamers. Follow us on Instagram, where we might post a photo once, or on Facebook, where we also post things for sure.
Yeah. I saw a really good, funny picture from someone on the internet about why you should play the East series. It was like what I thought I was going to get and then what I got. It's a dumb picture. Maybe I'll send a link out there on the Facebook page to people who want to see that.
There you go. Well, until next week, I'm Andrew.
And I'm JJ.
This was We Were Gamers.
Bye, everyone.